Yeah, here we go. Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me today to Turn the Page, which is a webinar I've put together focusing specifically on starting again and starting over. And it doesn't need to be a specific starting over. It doesn't need to be about starting over after a relationship. It doesn't need to be starting over with a new career, because the premise of starting again is the same no matter what life situation. And sometimes our life situation will bring a few things all at once. Maybe it's starting over financially, maybe it's starting over relationships, which often go hand in hand. You know, maybe it's rebuilding your health, starting over, but it's wherever the fear sets in and we get into that place where we don't know what the next step is and we don't know what then how to move forward. So it is all about moving forward, and it is about transformation. So I've put together some slides. We're going to have some questions at the end. So I'll just share my screen, but welcome everybody. And I am recording this. So there's those of you that are going to be watching the recording that have registered on the website. I'll be sending the recording to you. It is live on the Conscious Creator Masterclass, which is a group of mine. I will have it there for the next day or so, and then I'll probably take it off. And so I'm just going to share my screen and we can get started, because I do understand our time is precious and I don't want to waste yours. So, all right. So as I said, welcome everybody. Turning the page. So this is a webinar where I hope to reignite your passion for life and your purpose. And we're going to tap into our soul's purpose and our guidance. So as I said, welcome. And so those of you that are here, this webinar specifically for those of you that have felt lost and that are ready to create change in their life, but they don't know what the next step is. And if you've been concerned in the past that you don't know, that you don't think you have what is needed, you have fears, you haven't been able to create what you wanted in the past, well, I want to talk to you about that. I want to actually show you probably what are these sabotages that have come up, and that they're not there necessarily, they're not there to make your life difficult, but when we put in the right structure, we can use all aspects of us to move forward. And there's a place for that, but then we'll speak a bit about that later. If you're ready to learn to connect to your intuition, your innate wisdom, your inner power, the power that's greater than ourselves, that we all have access to, then this is the right place for you. And I'm here to show you how you can tap into that inner power and how to get back into the driver's seat with confidence and clarity. So if you have felt that you have sort of been a passenger in your life for a little while, if you feel like, you know, you've given your power away, then this is the spot for you. And I want you to know that it's now your turn. It's now your turn to be in the driver's seat. So as I said before, I appreciate your time. I appreciate that you've shown up today and taken this time to invest in yourself. So I'm going to go through a process. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience and the story I've been through, how the techniques and tools and insight that I've had in creation and also in moving forward and starting over, which I've had quite a bit of experience in. And I also, at the end of this session, I will show you I'll give you an opportunity, and I'll talk about different ways to work with me if you choose to. And also I will open the floor to any questions that anyone has. So I'll have some time and stay behind just to answer any questions anyone has about any of this content. So, and my goal here today is to plant the seed of what is possible. I think that's where everything needs to start. We need to know what is possible. We need to plant that seed. I'm going to give you evidence, experience, and a new perspective that I hope will change your focus in order for you to create a new structure built around self-care and empowered action. So I want to help people who want to learn how to create a life they love, and people who want to transform their current situation. Because if you're watching this, if this appealed to you, maybe there's something about your situation right now that doesn't feel quite right. So I want to help you transform that current situation without wasting time with self-sabotage. And I can use my experience where I've done that myself, and hopefully so you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that other people have made. So as we move forward and planting that seed, which I love this picture because even in a concrete jungle, we can still plant that seed and that life that still comes out where it feels like it's cracked. So your reality is what you believe is possible. So if I can do anything in this webinar today, it is about allowing you to see what is possible, because I think that is so important, because once you plant that seed that what is possible, you open up to inspired action. You open up for your intuition to give you feedback. So as this webinar is about starting over, I wanted to give some examples of beautiful souls in this world that have gone against the grain and have started over. Now, the number one that when I was sort of doing my research, and then when it came through, it actually made so much sense, because on my journey, when I first started this journey of self-discovery, this journey of being a spiritual seeker, Louise Hay was probably my first teacher. Someone gave me a book when I started studying, I started listening to videos, and I started listening to Louise Hay YouTube videos. And it's quite interesting because I started studying kinesiology, and a lady who was studying it at the same time, she just gave me the book. I didn't have to search for it. I didn't have to look for it. It just landed in my hand. So that's going back around 2012. So it's really interesting, but her story is one of true transformation and true starting over. And this is where I totally believe you're never too old to start over. You're never too old to move into your purpose, to understand where to create real change in your life, and also help create change in others' lives. And she's been a true inspiration to me. So Louise Hay started studying mind science at age 46. She got divorced at 47. So back then it was like the early 70s, I think it was, for her. And so she got divorced then, which was a difficult time, being, she hadn't had a career. She'd been married and he had looked after her. So she went through her own growth period at that time, probably hence the study of mind science helped her through that. She didn't write the book, You Can Heal Your Body, until she was 52 years old. And even then, it was just a pamphlet she put together for her clients that she was coaching in the church that she was in, the Mind Science Church. She didn't have her book published until she was 58. So, and her book, This Legacy, You Can Heal Your Life, like this isn't a Louise Hay thing, but this webinar, but I just want to show you just what is possible. And she's such a great example. This book that is still being published and out today, she didn't write it, she didn't get it published until she was 58. So back in the early 80s. She started Hay House Publishing at age 62. She passed away in her 90s. She was, I think she even had a new love interest in her 90s. Like, she is the quintessential starting over story. And so anyway, enough about Louise Hay, but keep her in mind, because she is definitely someone to plant the seed of what is possible. Vera Wang, she didn't get married till she was in her 40s. She started her business as a fashion designer at age 40 because she was inspired because she couldn't find a wedding dress that she liked. And her before that was she was a journalist and an ice skater. Julia Child wrote her first cookbook at age 50. Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, wrote his, he didn't write his cookbook. I needed to change that. He wrote his first book at age 40, which if I remember, it was called The Pilgrimage. So yes, better remember to change that. And Grandma Moses, she was an acclaimed artist in America, a folk artist, and she didn't start painting until she was 76. Now, this isn't about people starting businesses or things, but it's just a good example. There's so many examples of people who find love in their later years, or when after they've had breakups. I'm one of them. There's people who have recovered health conditions that I don't have here that, have started over after that. People who have had financial situations, like J.K. Rowling. When she wrote Harry Potter, she was a single mother on welfare. And she was starting over by following her intuitive guidance, by tapping into her innate wisdom and just going with that. And so how powerful that is when we can really tap into that inner guidance. This gentleman, his name is Tom Allen, and he is Britain's oldest yoga teacher at age 90. He didn't even start yoga until he went into early retirement at age 55, and he still teaches today. So he teaches seniors. So I think that's pretty awesome. So all of that, just going over those people, going over just those examples, is to plant the seed what is possible. That we are humans, that we are ever evolving, and we are built to overcome adversity. We are built for it. And just because you don't know anyone who's done it doesn't mean anything. And just because you don't have any evidence in your current situation, it doesn't mean anything either. If you can see it in your reality, if you can see it in people that you know, or even people you can research, it is possible. And so that is the seed to be planted of possibility. So before we start, clear your mind of maybe whatever you've learned before about different modalities, what you've learned about healing, teaching, transformation. I just want you, it's not that I'm saying don't go back there, just at the moment, just come with an open mind and an open heart and just receive this information from that place. So now I just want to introduce who I am. Like, I know a lot of you that are on this call know me, have worked with me. So for those of you that haven't, I'm just going to give a little brief introduction. So who am I? So my name is Verena White. I'm a kinesiologist. I'm a transformational coach. But other than that, I'm also a farmer's daughter from North Queensland. So those of you from Australia will know that North Queensland is a tropical part of our country in Australia where there's a lot of agriculture. So I was a cane farmer's daughter. I've been a spiritual seeker for over 20 years. I'm a mother to a beautiful, smart 13-year-old boy, and also to a fur baby who is sitting with me now. I found true love at age 44 and married my soulmate in Maui. I changed careers in my 40s and became a successful kinesiologist. I'm also a reflexologist, a Reiki practitioner, a theta healer. I'm a certified magnetic mind coach. And I'm also a co-founder of a non-profit coaching collective, who we've got some of the other founders on here today, called Creatosphere, where we've established a platform where coaches can come together and put their courses and works available to a greater audience. So that is a project that I'm working on at the moment. And I recently relocated to sunny Queensland, where I've moved from cold Melbourne to a beautiful tropical life, because that was a life that I really wanted. That was choosing a life that I love and a true choice. So that's a little bit of background on me. But where I will start the story, because today is about starting over, is to tell you a little bit about my experience of starting over. So it wasn't always this way. I didn't have it worked out. I hadn't, you know, as you sort of saw from there, a lot happened in my 40s. But this is a picture that was taken 10 years ago when I just moved to Melbourne. And it wasn't that long ago that I was in a very unhappy marriage. I had low self-esteem. I was in financial stress. I was buried deep in debt. And I had just moved to a city where I didn't know anybody and I didn't have any family support or friend support. And I was a mother of a young child. And it was at that time that I was going through, knowing that I was going to have to start over and coming through all those choices that many of you that are on this call may be facing at the moment. Facing where they need to relook at their life and make some changes. So this is from a post that I put on Instagram about 12 months ago. And this is a photo of me probably a year before that other photo. And it was exactly probably a year from this photo that everything fell apart. And I look at the smile on this woman's face, who probably thought she had it worked out, that her life was planned, that she had security, and probably on the outside looking in, a lot of people probably thought I had it all as well. You know, I had the nice home, I had the car, I was doing overseas traveling. I just, you know, my son was only about 18 months then. So it was then that, you know, I didn't know what was about to come. And I think I look back and I think she didn't know what was about to happen or what path her life was going to take. And I think that's important to know that, you know, when that does happen, it's an unveiling of and an opportunity to rebuild your life. And it's an opportunity to work out where you felt you weren't free in that situation. You froze. Yes. Did say, so is it got better now? Is it working? Am I still frozen? Just, can you type in? No? Is it okay? All good. Okay, great. Yes, unfortunately, that did say my internet was a bit unstable then, but hopefully good now. So when we're coming to that place of starting over, like one of the things I had to, the one is sort of maybe a shock, and this is where I go back to the quote from Joseph Campbell, is that you need to surrender the life you planned in order to embrace the life that's waiting for you. So around that time, and a lot of people, when they're in that place of starting over, right before they get on their hands and knees and say, no more, I want things to be different. It's like you go through, well, what did I do wrong? I did everything right. And so many of us have followed society's rules. We've, you know, for myself, I thought, you know what, I did everything that everyone said success would be. I did everything. I went to university. I got a good job. I married someone who ticked all the boxes, who looked good on paper. And, you know, I had the house. I had the car. I did the overseas holidays. And then when everything went away, I had to face a truth. I had to face the truth that everything I'd built my life on was like on sand, and the foundation was unstable. And that I also realized that a lot of people are living their life from that place. They are looking outside of themselves for a guidance of how their life should be, but there's a disconnect. So then, because we are looking outside of ourselves and using someone else's definition of success or definition of happiness or love, definition of health, definition of beauty, that it's a disconnect from what is true on a soul level. And then so hence many of us are feeling unhappy, unfulfilled, and living for a future that doesn't exist. Or when we do actually realize that future that we had planned, that we feel unfulfilled with it. So this is where the journey starts. And I guess I always knew, I always had an inner knowing that there was more than what I was experiencing. And for that, I'm so grateful that I had that optimism, that I had that hope. And if I can plant that seed for anybody to know that there is more, and that starting over doesn't have to be so scary. It can be such an exciting thing. It can be freeing. It can be the opportunity to rebuild on a solid foundation, rebuild the relationships you choose to have in your life, rebuild your financial knowledge, rebuild your body, rebuild your career, rebuild from a place of truth and with clarity and confidence, and start living from the inside out. And when I say the inside, I also mean connection to your intuition. I mean connection to your superconscious. So the thing I was struggling with in the world was self-sabotage. So even when I came out of the toxic relationship, I had to come to a realization, who am I when I'm not in that relationship? Who am I without material things? Who am I without the job, the business that other people believe to be of value? And it probably, that when we actually have to ask ourselves the question, when all of the physical dissipates, who are we? And to be able to find that answer, and it's like, I think it's the thing of know thyself. And I think it's the Oracle of Delphi. That's where it's written. Know thyself is so important. Who am I without that? And then the next question will be, who am I in the end result? But here, still going back to the journey, is that I never gave up. I always, as I said, always had an optimistic view. And I went on the journey. I took my power back. I decided that I knew life could be different. And that's when I delved into so many teachings and things. So I did go back I did jump in the driver's seat. But when I did, that's great. Hi, Claire. So when I did jump back, I'll just give Claire, we're just going through the slides, and we're just going through the journey of starting over. So going through the period of that fork in the road, that point where life does fall apart, and you make the decision to start again. I think someone's got their, let me just check. I'll just mute. Okay, there. Claire, can you just mute your speaker? I think that would be great. Perfect. Oh no, yep, great. So when I did start again, and this will be many people's journey of knowing that they need to take their power back, and there's so much information, and we go down this personal development highway, really. And I did get back into the driver's seat, but I was driving without a map. I was driving without a GPS, and I made lots of wrong turns. I knew I was making decisions. I knew where I wanted to go, but it was like I had all the information, but it was like I would use the metaphor of using a GPS in another language. And I've got a personal experience when I was with my ex-husband many years ago, and we were in Italy, and it sort of became a bit of a metaphor for things, but we had a GPS, but it was in Italian, and we couldn't work out how to put it into English. And so we didn't know that it was to take us off tolls, or it wasn't the freeway. It ended up taking us on more or less like a goat track, like, you know, the sort of back roads to get anywhere. Did get to the end and destination, but a lot of times going around in circles, a lot of times backtracking. And that's what it felt like when I started this personal development journey. And this is where I want to help you understand how to just change your GPS, get on that highway so you can get from A to B. And so you can move forward without feeling like you're going around in circles, without feeling like you're oscillating. So it was like I had all the information, but it felt like everything was in another language, and I was getting a little lost. So, you know, my first realization was, you know, as I was rebuilding my life, I was doing everything. I was clearing limiting beliefs. I started studying kinesiology. I was doing affirmation vision boards, workshop courses, shamanic healings. I was watching hours of videos and getting wonderful information, I have to say. All of it is good, but there is a glitch. And this is what I realized, is that, yeah, I was a spiritual seeker. So I did my kinesiology diploma. I did Reiki. I did theta healing. I studied the hermetic principles, the emotion code. I got certified as a magnetic mind coach. I studied quantum mechanics. I invested in personal coaching. And I probably spent over 60,000, probably more if I speak to my husband, on my education, of learning all the tools and things so I could help create the life, and also that I could help others do what I didn't do, or help them understand how to get there and what was possible. So the final piece was that I became a student of many masters. I'm not a student of one modality. I'm not a student of one teaching or one way. How I've come to the new side, and I shared this recently, just as I've had my 50th birthday, that I realized that I've been able to bring all things together and to become a student of many masters, that I can then create a program, create a way that I can help others not make the same mistakes or get so confused as I did in the first part of my journey going down this personal development trip. You know, when I was starting over, just so much information. And so that's what I want to share with you. So this is where I realized, and how's everything? Does everyone understand? How's this landing with everyone? Like, am I moving too quickly? Does anyone have any questions they want to share with me? And I'll just go back. Okay, all good. Because what I realized, and I'll just go into chat. Great. Oh, great. Thank you, Marie. What I realized was that the personal development world was broken. Well, actually, not so much broken, but now I've lost my place. Wait there, let me get back to it. Not broken, but it was like there was a glitch in the GPS. I think that's the best way to explain it. That the personal development world, the healing world, the alternative, is there was a glitch in the GPS. And maybe parts were in a different language. Maybe you were set on going no tolls and not the fastest route. But the glitch is, because we got so focused, the personal development world, I think it is like, I'm not putting blame or anything, because I think there's so many wonderful modalities, so many uncovering of ancient wisdom, that we realize that we can clear limiting beliefs and we can clear past lives and ancestral programs. These are all really important. But when we're focused on doing that, absolutely, that is what we need to do first before we can create the life we love, we get into a problem solving or fixing myself identity. And this was a big, when I was, for even myself and working with my clients, and the clients that kept coming back, because there was always something, it's like an onion. And with kinesiology, your muscle testing, and there's always something to clear. And people say to me, haven't I worked on this? It's still coming up. And it's like, if you look for something, it will be there. And it's not saying any of these tools and techniques aren't great, because they are, and they have changed my life. They've completely shifted my perspective on so much. But the thing I learned was my identity creates my reality. And if I'm in an identity of that I need to fix or heal myself, that I'm broken, that there's something wrong with me, or I'm not there yet, then my identity is one of I'm not there yet, and that I'm not enough, or I'm not capable. So I'm feeding a sabotage agenda, an unconscious egoic agenda, which I'm going to run through quickly later, what those egoic agendas are. So when you're in this, like, I need to fix myself, your unconscious has the instructions you've given is that that's who I am. I'm someone that needs to fix themselves. And you can see it so much in the personal development that we need to do this healing. We need to do, that technique, that. And if we get stuck in it, if the structure is around healing the present, if it's healing the current situation, then that's going to be the fixed point. Where we're going is not the fixed point. So instead of trying to fix or heal, we are still doing some of the same processes, but it's in a structure of letting go of our limitations, and letting go and stepping into our power, getting back into the driver's seat, putting the GPS on with the direct route. Take the fastest way, take the highway, take the toll roads, doesn't matter. I'm ready to invest to get there in the fastest and best way. And so when a coach of mine said to me, and I realized that it comes from Neville Goddard, it also is sort of reciprocated by another teacher, Florence Scovel-Shinn. They said to me, the secret structure is be, do, have. Be, do, have. And so someone could say that to you and you go, okay, that makes sense. But what really hit home was when she had told me that most people are in the structure of do, have, be. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to do all the healings, all the ancestral past life regressions. I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to do. And then I will have the life I want. And then I will be fulfilled and happy. But that is backwards. And the structure will keep us stuck in the one of that we need to keep doing things. Now, it's not that action isn't required. Great. I'm just checking some of the messages. So it's not that action isn't required. It's that we need to become who we are in the end result now. And that may seem difficult, especially when you're in the energy of starting over. But this is the point of planting the seed of possibilities. Start to imagine who you are in that end result. And the more you start to connect with that version of you, the more you will understand who you need to be. You don't have to have all the things to be that person. You don't need to have the house, the car, the relationship to be someone who is actually in that relationship. You can still be it. You know who you are. Like, it's saying that something will complete me. You're already whole and complete. And once you realize that, once we go back and be and remember who we came here to be, remember who we started off before we decided to have this physical experience, we were already the being. We're already whole. We're already superconscious. If any of the language I'm using is confusing, please feel free. So this is just, when I learned how to be, even before I had, was so empowering. And then things did start to change. And, I started to feel whole and complete. I started to pursue what I loved. I was making true choices. I went through the process of what's my best day, and it's being by the beach with my family. And now that's something that I can do every day if I choose it. It's like I can have my best day. I'm not waiting for something to happen to be that person who's living that life they love. So the solution to this, and this is going back through my journey of turning the page and helping you reduce the time and self-sabotage, and that you don't have to go through it, is the solution to turning the page is that to understand that I can help people. So when I started to do all the studies and when I started to actually implement this in my life, I realized that, yeah, I've got something to offer. And that is like to realize that we got stuck in the wrong structure, and it's okay, and we can move out of it. And to understand that we've got conflicting parts sabotaging our progress. And I realized that I could teach people to connect to their inner guidance, their intuition, and help put them on their true soul's path, which may be different to what they saw themselves living earlier on. And I could help people take their power back. And when I say take their power back, I'm talking about really tapping into your inner guidance, stepping into the driver's seat and knowing that you have permission to say, I want the fastest and best way to go there. So when we're looking at this, what is it? What's the problem? And what's the solution? What stops people from moving forward? What stops that thing, that fear that freezes us in our place, is that we're in the wrong structure. We're in the wrong structure, like I said, of being in a problem-solving reality. And if our structure is one of problem-solving, our unconscious mind, which is just a program, will not allow you to get to that end result that you love, because it's against the structure. The structure is always about problem solving. So there's always another problem to solve. There's always something else to fix. There's always, and then you're feeding these unconscious agendas of not being worthy, not being capable, maybe not belonging. You're feeding these unconscious agendas because you're in the wrong structure. And so this is where we can use all those tools and fantastic modalities. But if we're in the right structure, that's where those modalities and techniques and healings do the best work. That's when you can get to your end results, because you can use them in a structure of one where you're a creator. And number two is going for what you love. People don't go for what they love. They go for maybe what is available, or they're looking outside of themselves and asking other people what they love. What do my parents want me to do? What do my friends, my peers want me to do? What does the media tell me? What's the media telling me is success? What is happy? What is available to me? So we're never just choosing something we love. We're never going for that passion. You know, we're going for something that is maybe someone else's definition. And this was a big one for me when I started to rebuild my life and going into a true choice. I found out the things that I had chosen previously were what other people loved. You know, and so my true end result was going to be something very different. And the third thing why people don't move on is because they've given their power away. And when you've given your power away and you believe that that is the structure you're living in, it's hard to move forward because you believe someone else has the power. Now, this could happen in a narcissistic relationship. This can happen, you know, it doesn't have to be a narcissistic relationship. It's just if you've given your power to someone else, even another healer, if you believe that you can't move forward until someone else fixes you. And this can be a structure definitely in this kind of environment. I need that person to fix me. I need that person to do that because I'm not capable of doing it myself. You know, so a good coach, a good healer will be one who is a facilitator of healing, one who will help you implement strategies and know that your power, your healing power is one of yourself. And when I studied theta healing, it was a really beautiful modality, which is similar to the magnetic mind and the recode structure, but it was like I am a conduit of the creator. I can be a conduit of messages and information to give to you, but the healing, the moving forward is your power. When you believe someone else has the power to make you happy, so you can give your power away in relationships, when you believe someone else has the power to control your, maybe your financial situation. There's something we've gone through in the last couple of years where people have lost their jobs. And I was speaking to a dear friend who had lost her job over the pandemic. And she said to me, she said, I thought that I was, you know, I was empowered by what I did as a job, but then realized that someone else could take it away. She said that was very disempowering for her when she realized that. And so it's like, where is our power in any situation? Where can I take it back? So what do we focus on? What are the 3 steps to be able to move this forward? And the first one is we need to get into a creative structure. We need to look at the structure we're in. And this is what we do with the one-on-one coaching or the group coaching. We look at our current structure, and you will realize, and always, if something isn't working, the structure is built to either put you in a feedback loop of problem solving or in a feedback loop of fixing yourself. So this is why the structure is so important. And when we create the right structure, we do create a path of least resistance. We're not going the goat track because we haven't put the right coordinates in. We are going the fastest and best way. And number 2 is going to true end results, your true nature and purpose, which means you are going back to what you really love. When you're choosing what you really love, you're coming from your heart space, you're connecting to your intuitive guidance, you're connecting to your superconscious self. And that's when we start to see fulfillment. That's when we start to really enjoy this physical experience. And the third one is becoming superconscious. And that's to do with your identity. The superconscious identity was who you began as. We are a direct expression of the divine. The Gnostics knew it, the ancients knew it. We are one with the divine. We have God within us. And, you know, take that as you will. We have this unlimited source of information. the superconscious field that we have access to. And when we realize that, anything is possible. We can start choosing what we want to create. We can start choosing our life. And so that's when we let go of all of those conflicting parts, the other identities that maybe have kept us stuck, and the sabotage programs, which I'm going to talk a little bit. I better check the time because sometimes I go a little overboard, and I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone's enjoying the content. So the 3 pillars to alchemy, the 3 pillars to change is vision, truth, and bridge. So the vision is your clarity of where you're going. So when you're starting over, this is what you need to get clear. Where is my destination? Because if you're just sitting in the hole that you're in and looking that I need to fix this around me first, you're going to be stuck in a structure that is not sustainable, or a structure that's going to keep you stuck. So the first thing is, where's your vision? And the alchemists used to call imagination the secret fire. Let yourself wander to what is possible. What is your vision? The second part is the truth. What is aligned to my true nature? Who is my true self? The true self is that you're a superconscious being. The true self is that you have access to intuitive guidance. The truth is, you can choose what you love. And the third step is the bridge. And this is what we do when we're coaching. This is what we do when you work with me for 6 months, 12 weeks, or when we do the group coaching. We build the bridge. We build the bridge of action and structure. We create the structure, and then from that we become the being, the be, do, have. And from that place of vision and truth, we become the being. We are being or becoming who we need to be. And from that place, we find the inspired action, which is the doing. I hope that didn't sound confusing. I hope that came across clear. But what I want to do today is to give permission that you have permission to have what you want. You have permission. Oh, thanks, Marie. We have permission, because I think that is the first step to starting over, because so many of us feel guilty. If we're mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, friends, that we're starting over. Like, who am I to ask for what I want? Who am I? And many of us that feel stuck in this place of starting over have to give ourselves permission to have what we want. And this is one of the unconscious sabotages, is that we need permission. And a lot of people I work with, it's like, and this was a big one for me, that I needed permission from whoever, I don't know, on the soul level, to have what I want. I'm worthy, I'm capable, I belong. And from that place, when we give ourselves permission, we find freedom, because now you can start moving forward. And that's what we're going to do in the change process today. I'm going to tap into your superconscious, and we're going to give ourselves permission and download the codes we need from superconscious to have permission. So what do we have to learn? We have to learn to restructure our life. We need to learn to become it before we see it, so we can create that reality, so we can move forward. We need to get clear about our vision. And the big shift, and this is where we set the GPS, is 2 points in time. We set the 2 points in time, which is, I'll go back to the sabotage belief. The 2 points in time is from A to B. And that's the structure. It's a simple structure. We don't need to fix anything. We don't need to resolve anything. But the 2 points in time, A is our present, is our current reality, and B is our desired reality. Now, most of us, when we're in the problem-solving reality, is that we're in this current reality and we go, oh, okay, this is what I want. I want my life to be better. I want more money. I want to lose weight. I want my dream home. I want a loving relationship, whatever it is, that desired, or I want to move forward. I want a new career, starting over. I want that. That's what I want. I want my life to be different. But then our egoic agenda, which is our sabotage programs, they go in to say, well, no, you can't have that because you're not allowed to have what you want. You need to fix yourself first. And so this is where we get into the old structure, and rather than just choosing what you want. So some of these sabotage patterns, some of these sabotage agendas that we have playing in our unconscious mind, which is what we work on, but we work on it in a creative structure. That's the difference. Because a lot of these, you'd say, well, I've worked on a lot of that before, but if you're working from the current reality being your fixed point, then you're going to be stuck in an old problem-solving structure. So in one of the sessions I did in Creatosphere Inner Circle, in the group coaching program that I do, I actually worked on these sabotage agendas this week. So the first one is like, there's a perfect way of being. So these are the identities and sabotage programs that we usually create between 0 and 7. And it's because through the eyes of children, be through, let's go put the air conditioning on, it's quite hot here. Through that 0 to 7 years, we start to orientate to how we see the world. And so a lot of us as adults, we're still seeing the world through the eyes of the wounded child, or the child that decided, oh, well, I must be perfect to be loved. And so you then create situations and things throughout your life to prove that you're perfect, or prove that you need to be perfect, or that I'm not perfect and I keep proving that. So, and it's the next one is, I'm going to be good, so I prove that I'm worthy. So this is the sabotage program of like, I need to be good, I'm going to be good at this, because when I'm good and when I get validation from others, then I'm worthy of love. So your identity is always trying to solve it, but it won't let you get to where you feel worthy, because your identity is based around trying to prove that you're good enough, if that makes sense. And when we go further into this, because obviously this is an intro session, this is planting the seed session, that when we're going deep into this work, this is where we create a creative structure so we can release the resistance and create new identities, so you can be super conscious. You know, number 3, I'm not good enough. So you've got something to prove. There's always an enemy. This can be a victim mindset, or it could be that mindset of that really competitive person, that I'm proving that I'm good enough. And you're constantly proving that you're good enough, but you never can be good enough, because then the identity of proving it doesn't exist anymore. So this is what the process is about. When we choose that end result as the fixed point, we can start releasing these old patterns. I don't belong, the need to feel loved and accepted. Feeling insignificant or invisible means that what I want is not important. It's like I can't have what I want. And then it goes to the needing permission to have what you want. You know, this could be from a child who was like maybe very dominating parents, that they needed permission to, you know, as a child, there was a time when these programs worked for you. You know, as a child, your parents may have said, no, you don't have permission to go running out onto the street at nighttime. So you embedded that I needed permission to go and do what I want. So this stayed with you. So then it's like, oh, well, I can't just go out and be a musician, or I can't just go out and be a singer, or I can't just be this, because I need permission from someone, from some authority, before I can have this. I'm not capable. And this is the egoic agenda where people are doing courses. I was very much stuck in this one, also the not belonging one, of needing to do more. I'm not capable. I need to do more courses. I need to get more certificates or diplomas, or, you know, I need to do more because I'm not capable yet. I need to control the situation. So these are these people that are control freaks. Their belief is around, I need to dominate or be dominated. And this can be two sides of the same coin. You know, someone that is very, they're very controlled situations, so they don't allow things to happen. They don't allow situations to show up for them. And then there is the peacekeeper, the no conflict. And this version never asks for what they want. And so they never get what they want. They're always happy to be a bit sort of apathetic. And sometimes you'll see with these people, they might have some weight issues because they don't want conflict, or they hide away. They might have skin issues because they're never expressing themselves. So it comes out in other ways in their physical body. So going back to the structure, going back to trying to resolve any of those egoic agendas. So this is where in this new structure, we just choose what we want. And as we choose what we want, we then release resistance. And we do this through a recode. So this is where, so when the desire violates you'll never see it until you be it. So this is where, so if you're in the identity of someone that needs to be fixed, then you're not a match to the person who's living their best life or is living that end result. So if you know you don't need to be fixed, but you might still have those agendas, you can let them go, knowing that they're not real. They're just false premises. Sounds easy. And, you know, there's obviously lots of layers to that you need to let go of. But I mean, when you start doing this work, that's what we work on. And it's in the creative structure. So just giving you some history of this work before we do the change process. I think I might need to skip through some of these. So this is about rewiring the brain. Those of you who've worked with me before have heard me talked about conscious mind, unconscious, superconscious. And I will just give a little bit before we go into the change process. Then I might just stop sharing here. So how's that landing for everybody? Does it seem to make sense, or have I lost anyone? All good? Great. And so when we're so what we're going to do in the change process is we're going to do a parts integration. So we're talking about identity. We're talking about, well, let's say the choice is you want to move forward. You want to, okay, no problem. So the choice is you want to move forward. You want to start over. And so how we do that is to understand who we are, what we are. And who we are superconscious beings. Oh, great. Thank you, Marie. Marie says, every time I hear you explain the right structure, it solidifies. And it does. And it's like, it takes time. That's why this stuff, it does take time. Just cool. All right. So we have conscious, unconscious, superconscious. And we're all parts. The conscious part of us is the part of us in this 3D reality that is choosing to have a better life. So we're always going, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. And so that's why I've colored it in two parts. It's a polarity universe. That's what we live in this physical world, is a polarity universe. This is what I want, this is what I don't want. And then we go into our unconscious mind. and we say, well, I want a better life experience. I want to change careers. I want a new relationship. I want more money. And your unconscious mind, which is like a computer program, goes through and it says, well, we don't have any information for that, but this is what we do have, which is all the sabotage agendas. Like, you're not capable yet, or you've not done this in the past, so you can't do this, and then it'll feed back. So then we go into, oh, well, I need to fix myself, or I need to do more work. So you go back. So nothing gets resolved. And this is where we're disconnected from our superconscious, because we're just living in this conscious and unconscious world. And so much of the personal development world talks about just conscious and unconscious, and to change your unconscious beliefs can be really difficult. And it's like pushing things uphill, because our unconscious agenda is, it's like you've got a computer program and let's say you've got a Windows 97, and you're trying to do something, and I don't even know what the new Windows or whatever that is, but you've got a processing system that is out of date, but you're trying to do up-level programs, so you don't have the information, you don't have that. So to do that, it means you need to go to the superconscious, you need to go to source. Those of you who are familiar with Abraham Hicks or any of those spiritual teachers, it's like, go to source. And source, which is the superconscious, that field of all the information that we have access to, we can download new programs into our unconscious, where our sabotage programs and identity, we can download the new programs because you always had it. And it's like, I can release that doesn't serve me anymore. So we're upgrading our programs, we're upgrading our identities to one of the creator. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do integrative parts. We're going to get started. Let me see if there's any more information I think I need to give you. And going back from resume slideshow, yes. So this goes into just talking about the superconscious, conscious, and then we have the superconscious field that we have access to. And the 5 steps with recoding, which is the work that I do, is you choose a true choice, you create the structural creative tension, we get into the emotion of the end result, and we recode. And that's the 5 steps. So we won't go into true choices today, but we're going to go into conflicting parts. And I think these images, I'm going to keep these images up because I think they're powerful. So the first step is to know that you're becoming. Wait, is there any? Yes, okay. The first step is like, when we're starting over, we've got to have a clear image of who we are in that end result. And usually, if we're coming from the part of us that is wounded, the part of us that feels not enough, the part of us that feels like we need to fix ourselves, we can't move forward. That's what's keeping you stuck to the next step. And of course, there's many layers, but let's start there. Let's start to access the version of you that has already created this life that you love, the version of you that is powerful, the version of you that has got this GPS system all worked out. And so that's where we're going to look at conflicting parts. And the thing about sabotage programs is they were set up at a stage when they actually were good for you. There was a time when needing to belong kept you part of a tribe. It kept you safe. The feeling of needing to be loved and accepted and being part of, a community kept you safe. There was a part where striving to be good enough gave you validity. It made you feel safe. It made you feel loved. There was a time when getting permission from an authority kept you safe. As an adult, you don't need that anymore. As a conscious creator, you don't need to get permission to choose what you want. So this is where we're looking at two conflicting parts, and we're going to move them into your creative personality. So I want you to think of a choice, a true choice, something you want to create. And maybe it is that choice of starting over. And a core true choice is to choose, let's say, a life that I love. Choose a life that I love. And when you're starting over, I think this is a good one to go with, because to choose a life that you love when you're in that place of feeling a bit down, desperate, and it feels like everything's against you, that's when we can make the choice. That's when we can make a soul's choice. And in The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho said, when you make it, and I'm paraphrasing, it wasn't exact these words, when you make a true choice, when you make a choice, the universe will conspire to bring that to you. And that's when you make a soul's choice, the universe will conspire to bring that to you. Okay, that's great. Oh, thank you, Marie. Yep, and I'll send you the replay and everything. So the conflicting parts, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about that true choice. I want you to think about choosing a life that you love. And I want you now to, what's the part of you that has reservations? What's the part of you that says, maybe that's not safe? What's the part of you that feels fear? And I want you to open your hands, your left and your right hand, as you close your eyes. And I want you now to imagine that part of you that has reservations, that part of you that has the concerns about, maybe it's like, well, what are you going to do about money? What are you going to do if this happens? That person that has the concerns, that version of you. Maybe it's the child that needs permission. Maybe it's the version of you that doesn't feel good enough and is waiting to get validation from others, that needs to feel worthy. What does she look like on your right-hand side of the hand? What does she look like? And I want you just to see it, because the thing you need to know, your unconscious, is that all parts want you to be safe. All parts want you to have a happy life. But they have a different perspective. One is the higher mind perspective, and one is the lower mind perspective that's coming from a wounded place. So I want you now, with your eyes closed, just to see that version of you that's on one side, which is the wounded one, which is a protected, maybe the one who has all the concerns, the warrior. And I mean warrior as in you're worried, not as in the warrior, as in fighter. The one who maybe has anxiety, the one that actually is fearful. What does she look like? What is she wearing, or he wearing? And then on your left-hand side, I want you to see your creator, the version of you, and I've put these pictures up so you can sort of get a glimpse, the one that is empowered, the one that is powerful, healthy, and has that life that you love, the one that's living it, the one that's chosen it and just went for it. And I want you to close your eyes. And I want you now to see both parts of you, and knowing with the premise that they both want you to be happy and loved. And I want you now to see both parts, and they're talking to each other. And I want you to, the creative version of you, the powerful version of you, I want that version of you to ask the fearful version, what are you afraid of? What worries you? And then I want you to come from an intuitive place and get your powerful version to talk to the fearful version, to bring all parts together. Superconscious, do you see all parts? Can you let the wounded part, the fearful part, know that she is loved, and that when she becomes part of the main personality, the powerful personality, the higher self, the superconscious self, that no parts will die, and that all of her wisdom, all of her experience, everything that she's been through will not be lost and will be used at the appropriate time. And I want the powerful version of you to talk to the powerful version of you to talk to the wounded version, the fearful version, and let her know, if you don't move forward, what can you expect? I know you want to be happy. I know you want to feel love, to feel abundant, to feel healthy. But if we don't work together, nothing changes. And then I want you to see the response from the fearful version, the wounded version of you. Does she want that? And I want you to see that both sides love each other. They love you. They want the best for you. One's just trying to protect you, the overprotective version of you, the naive version, the one that doesn't know they're connected to unlimited source of power or information, the one that's been hurt. And I want that higher version of you, the powerful version of you, to console her and let her know that she does, that all parts, that we've seen what she's been through, and she is valued. That she is valued. And we love her. And that the higher part of you, the creative part of you, will seek counsel with the fearful version, but she doesn't need to be in the driver's seat anymore. It's like you're going to ask her to give the powerful version of you the keys. You're going to ask the wounded version to give the powerful version of you the keys, and just say, I can use you. I can seek counsel with you, but you don't need to drive anymore. I've got this. You don't need to be fearful anymore. You can actually get in the back seat and just have a rest. You can sleep. You don't need to hold on to this anymore. We've got this. We're coming from the higher place. And I want you now to sort of see those two hands in front of you start to come together until they become one. Superconscious, please treat any resistance that the wounded part has to becoming one, to becoming whole, to becoming one with the creative energy, the superconscious energy. Superconscious, please treat this in the best and perfect way. Please tag and treat any events from the past that have caused lack of trust. Please treat that in the best and perfect way, and please replace with faith. Thank you. And I want you now in your mind's eye to see those two parts of you come together. until they're one with the powerful version of you. And that all parts know they are loved and valued. All parts know they are loved and valued in the best and perfect way. Thank you. Superconscious, please treat all remaining resistance to being whole, being complete, being one with the powerful self. Please ground all memories that we've touched on today, conscious, unconscious, superconscious. Please ground all memories, quantum memories, tandem memories, future memories, past life, ancestral, ego states. Please ground memories 1, 2, and 3 into the benevolent matrix of the physical universe. Thank you. And I want you now to see yourself whole and complete as a powerful version of yourself, as one entity, one whole state, as you step forward and knowing you have permission. Superconscious, please tag and treat any resistance to feeling that you have permission to choose what you want, that you have permission to go forward, and that you are protected, and that you have access to guidance. And so it is. Thank you. It is done. It's done. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I'll just give you a second to go back, to come back to the room. You may just need to ground yourself a little bit. And I want you to we'll get some feedback on that. But before we go into that, I just want to go through some, as I said before, the availability to work with me. If this is a project, if this is something that interests you, if you felt like you got value out of this session, then please feel free to book in for a free strategy call, a 30-minute strategy call, to see what avenue you'd like to take to work with me. One would be a group coaching avenue. The other one would be to work with me one-on-one. And I will send details out to everyone that was on this webinar regarding that. I'm offering today, is the Turning the Page program. This is the first time I've offered this. This is a 5-week or 6-week intro program to this work. So if you haven't done this work before, this would be an introduction. So it's one payment of $555, or we can do 3-part payments. And then anyone who books today will get a free recode session with me to get started, like a free session. But this is a session where we'll meet for 6 weeks. And I've done it at quite a reasonable price for this. So we meet for 6 weeks and we're going through all of the avenues. We're going to go through those 3 pillars and extend them out, how to get clear about your vision, how to align to your truth, and also how to then build the bridge and create that creative structure. So this is the Turning the Page program. So this is where we create a life planner, learn how to create that structure, and we do it from a daily, weekly, monthly to 3 months, 12 months. What does our vision look like? We align these to our values. So we'll be looking at values and how we can attach them. What is our true choices? So we get really clear about true choices and what actions. So we look about practical alchemy. So we go through the alchemical and we shift into the new identity. We do processes like we did today, the integration, the parts integration. We do quantum jumping. We'll also do an identity matrix exercise. We learn how beliefs are created and the internal frameworks and the different belief systems we have. And as we're in a creative structure, we get to release those as we move forward. So you can find your next action step. We look at emotional alignment. We learn how to regulate our emotions, understand our emotions. We learn how to connect to our intuitive guidance. And we also do recode, which is the connect into your true choice. We look at going into the emotion of the end result, our new identity, and then recoding. And of course, we learn how to be super conscious. So this is the 6-week program of turning the page. This is the start. This is your first step. When you're looking at starting over this program, which is the first time I've offered it. And so this will be, it won't be as cheap as this next time. So this will be the first time that I do it this way. And then there's a personal coaching, which is working with me one-on-one for 12 weeks. And if you want to book a call with that, we can talk further about that. But that's when we have one-on-one sessions with me every week. You get access to the Creator Sphere Online University, get access to the group coaching program. I do a personal roadmap for you of what that looks like. I also do a frequency reading where I intuitively test up what your frequency is in different aspects of your life. And also you get access to online events that we do in Creator Sphere. And you get access to other programs. So I'd like to finish today with when you came here to connect to your true divine nature. And my purpose, why I'm here, is that I came here to help you do that. So thank you for joining me today. And if anyone has any questions, I'm going to stay online. I'm going to stop recording now and answer any questions that you have in regards to working with me, the program, or any of the content, anything that came up for you. So feel free to ask away. So I'm just going to stop record. So our questions don't need to be open. So stop recording. So I'm open to all questions.